Hello everyone, and welcome back to my no-buy year, and welcome to the next installment of Style in the Era of Influence. So today, I am responding to this book by Allison Bornstein, Wear It Well. So as is the custom of these style videos, I'll go through my outfit. I only have one today because at the very end of this video, I will be sharing some of my top outfits from this day and age, from the present, and asking you to assign me 3 words. If you are familiar with this method and some of the word options, I'm very curious to hear what your impressions are of my style and what my 3 words might be, or some words that you think would apply well. So to go through what I'm sitting here wearing in front of you, let's go from the bottom today. We have my Nike Cortez sneakers with the lavender swoosh. I had these before in the classic red and blue, and it was another pair that I had matching with my husband. We have a thing for matching sneakers, and unfortunately they were out of my size in the women's line, so I got my equivalent size in the kids line. How it works is that the largest kid size is technically my women's size equivalent. So if you are a smaller size than me in women's shoes, you'll probably be able to find the same shoes in the kids section. One of the larger kid sizes will be your women's size. However, in my case, the kids version was shaped a little bit differently so that they weren't comfortable to wear. And I would actually say that these shoes, even in the women's size, are a little bit snug in the toe area, even though they're not tight. So part of it might just be the design of the shoe. But nonetheless, I have this version with the purple swoosh that I wear fairly regularly whenever I have something else that's lavender and I want to do the matching thing. The jeans are the Tibby jeans that I purchased earlier this year, failing my no-buy, but they have since become my favorite pair of jeans, possibly my favorite pair of pants. So was it worth it? I don't know. And the shirt is a graphic tee. I was talking about graphic tees earlier this week. Here's an example. It's the Van Gogh irises and my Theory purple blazer, which I got on sale when I was due to start a high school teaching job. So I think I got it in the summer prior to that as a kind of back to school outfit, or entering school as a teacher outfit, to make me feel more like a teacher and less like somebody who was more recently a student. A college student, sure. Like, I didn't start teaching high school when I was 20 or something crazy like that. But I was, 27, turning 28 at the time. And I did feel like high school students were a little bit scary to me at the time, and I wanted to feel powerful in my suit, in my corporate business lady suit. So I have matching pants to this as well. I was debating between getting this lavender or classic kind of camel khaki oatmeal color. I now do have an oatmeal colored blazer as well, but at the time I opted to get the lavender one, and no regrets. I still have it. I still love it. Was not really influenced either. I didn't learn about this brand from a link anywhere or see it on somebody else before buying it. I kept on the classic hoop earrings and didn't do anything additional for makeup than I would normally do. I did swap out my unaesthetic Garmin sports watch for the Nordgreen watch I was influenced to buy, which I'll wear when I want to present a little more of an elegant, accessorized look. And while it's a little bit big now, I hope to bulk back up in my arms after I'm done feeding a baby, and hopefully it'll fit a little bit better again and not be moving all over the place. Generally, I'm not a big accessories person. I haven't really addressed that yet. I have trouble wearing necklaces because I can't play the viola in them, and that's my real job. So if I have a bulky necklace, it'll rattle on the instrument. If I have long dangly earrings, they'll rattle on the instrument. If I have more than my everyday rings, I just have one on this finger and then my wedding rings, wedding engagements, then I can't do the things I need to do. I also can't have nails or perfume or several other things, I guess. Heavy foundations will also do that. I've never been a huge foundation wearer, but those are the things to consider as far as like workplace restrictions for our musician career path. Okay, back to the matter of today's video. I read this book while we were driving on a road trip to Michigan and then Chicago on the way home, and I regret not bringing more of the books that I was going to address on this channel. I have some of these productivity books that I wanted to talk about, and I regrettably have not finished them. I have In the Realm of Hungry Ghosts here as well on comment recommendation that I have on the reading list, and then some other books about attention, Stolen Focus, Indistractable, Hooked, and some of these are books that I've already read about fashion. Fashionopolis, The Conscious Closet, Overdressed, Consumed. I have The Story of Stuff. Anyway, this was not supposed to be a book review. I read this on that road trip, regretted not bringing more books because I finished it very quickly, and then all I had left was A Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man by James Joyce, because one of my kids had brought it to pretend to read, and I was stuck having to read that, which I did not finish that book. I do hope to, just because I want to find out how it develops and how it ends, even though it feels a little bit unrelatable to me right now. Anyway, I keep on going off on tangents. I read this book, and I have some thoughts. And I hope this doesn't come off as judgy again, because obviously when you have a book, you've got an author, and I'm not trying to be judgmental of her as a person. It's just in relation to my response to this piece of art and literature, or whatever you want to call it, that she has created. All right, so with that disclaimer out of the way, I have realized over the course, especially of this year, that not every piece of content or art, or anything really, is going to be for everyone. And something I quickly realized about this book is that it's not really for me. So I guess I'll start there. This is not necessarily a book review, but it may be helpful if you've been thinking about reading this book and implementing the methods. First of all, Allison Bornstein is a stylist. So this is her job, to think about style, to improve people's style, to help them develop a better style. She also lives in New York and LA, I believe, and she has recently achieved a lot of recognition on Instagram and TikTok and social medias in general, and she's famous for things like the wrong shoe theory, where you pair a contrasting shoe to your outfit, and the 3-word method, which is perhaps her most famous theory of fashion and style, which is kind of what this book is based around. I was going to make some joke about how my 3 words are, just don't shop. But like I might have said already, I will be showing you my outfits later, and you can tell me what you think 3 good words for my style would be. Essentially how the 3-word method works is that your first word is the practical word, your second word is your aspirational word, and your third word offers the emotional counterpoint, or how you want to feel. And I know that the founder of TIBI, Amy Smilovic, has another twist on these 3 words where it's not just about how, maybe I should look this up. So Amy Smilovic's twist on the 3 words involves making sure that your choice of adjectives also describe you as a person and not just the clothes. So instead of using a word like oversized, you might use a word like relaxed to get to more of like the true meaning of why you like those kinds of pieces and what it represents about you, and not just your exterior style, not just the costume you've chosen to adorn yourself with. The founder of TIBI, Amy Smilovic, actually has a lot of fascinating style ideas as well, which perhaps I should be researching more and trying to implement in addition to these ones, but that's a subject for another day. So I admire people like this, Amy Smilovic, Allison Bornstein, for their skill and their knowledge and their wisdom in the field of styling, the field of style. But it's kind of like I said in one of my earlier videos where I talked about the example of a book club. And if you show up at a book club where everybody's reading this book and you've read something else, you're not going to be on the same page. I know I'm literally talking about a book here, so this analogy might get a little bit convoluted, but I feel like when I was reading this, I was not on the same page as Allison Bornstein. And that's not her fault. It's also not my fault per se, but I should have maybe thought about that before buying this and reading it. Not that I didn't get anything of value out of it, but there were several moments where I perhaps disagreed or didn't have the relevant life experience to get all that perhaps this book was intended to deliver. Like I've already said, Allison Bornstein's job is style. For me, and perhaps some other people out there, style is kind of more of an incidental point of their overall life and their overall day. Not that it's not important, but when we get dressed, we are going to go do something. And that something doesn't involve the clothes we're wearing. for a lot of us, I'll hazard to say. So we are focused on other things rather than clothing. We're going to go do our job or going to go socialize. And yes, what we're wearing plays a part. Our style can play a part in those interactions if we want it to. But it's not really our job to notice style, present style, or have opinions on other people's style. I can speak personally and say that I think I do notice the style of others, especially when it's presented in a way where I admire it. For example, when I go to work, I would say that I do notice what people wear. Perhaps not everybody even notices, but I would say that I do notice, and I do appreciate when it looks like somebody has put effort into what they're wearing and when somebody has an interesting outfit. I don't judge when people don't do this. I don't judge when people look objectively less put together. I don't even know if it's possible to say one can look objectively more or less put together, but you know what I'm saying, I hope. When somebody has put effort into their appearance, you can kind of tell a lot of the times, right? They've chosen their accessories with care. They've made sure things fit properly. And obviously there are many reasons why people might not be able to do this, whether they can't afford to buy clothes that are updated for their current size or style. But that's not really the point I'm trying to make here. The point I'm making is that for me, and perhaps other people reading this book, clothes are a part of their life, but not the focus of their life. And so I think I approach style with a different lens than was communicated in this book. And again, Captain Obvious flies into the room here. I should have known that before picking it up to read, because she's a stylist and she's the one writing the book. But let me provide some examples of moments of a little bit of feeling that I was missing out on essential information because I'm not a stylist. So at times she would name drop designers or even celebrities without the context that somebody like me needed to know in order to understand fully what she was talking about. And there were some mentions of brands within a normal price range, if I may be so bold to say that, like Zara, The Gap, H&M, but I would say more often than not, the brands she mentions are expensive. Totem, The Row, YSL. She made a comment about consigning your clothes, and that when you consign your blouse, you can then go look for a pair of trousers and exchange something. You know, the implication is that your clothing is of relatively high quality to be able to do that. Some of the celebrities she mentions here are Penny Lane, Sofia Coppola, Fran Lebowitz. I don't even know how to pronounce this name. And you know, there are some small context bits of information here. Fran Lebowitz would apparently choose vintage Levi's, a white button-down shirt, a blazer, and boots. This is in a chapter talking about different types of denim. Penny Lane would flaunt flared denim with an embroidered blouse, a shaggy jacket, and platforms. You know, I get a visual, but I don't know this person's style. So I don't know these references, and it doesn't really help me contextualize how I might choose the denim that fits with my style, because I don't know the references as well as she does. It's hard to communicate that kind of a wealth of knowledge in just a book with limited page space and chapters. You know, here's another one that I have no idea about. Think of a heady Slim-On era Saint Laurent vibe. Like, I have no idea what that vibe is. And again, it's a me problem. It's not a her problem, but it just made me realize that I'm not on the same page. This book is not really for me, even though I am interested in the 3-word method and how I can implement it. I have a lot of missing pieces that made it, I don't want to go as far as to say it was frustrating, but I was left feeling a little unfulfilled by some of the tidbits in this book. And then I had an amusing moment where I was reading the section about self-care and how she advocates taking 20 minutes to get dressed every day and another 20 minutes in the beginning of every week to plan outfits. And this is a great idea, but for somebody who has young children, it's almost laughable to think that I would have 20 minutes every morning to be in my closet thinking about my clothes without somebody needing my attention elsewhere. And again, this is not her problem. I'm not trying to suggest that it is, but the idea of every woman being able to take 20 minutes to get dressed, I mean, it's just not for my season of life. And then she does mention that some of her ideas might feel a bit woo-woo, but you should try them anyway. You can create a little altar to help you focus your intention, a visual representation of your 3 words to hold your inspiration and remind you of who you are, what you like, and what you want to share with the world. I don't know, again, how I feel about the idea of creating an altar of my 3 words. I understand the sentiment, again, and I really am not trying to take her words out of context. Perhaps I shouldn't even be critiquing this book or posting this video, but I'm just trying to engage with one of the more popular fashion methods of our time, of our present, and experiencing a couple of roadblocks of my lack of experience in life and my experience not matching up to hers, I guess, to the author of this book. I don't know. It just feels like a little bit of an impediment to truly understanding the intention. Like, it's feeling like this kind of style content is operating with a more idealistic view than a practical view, when there's so many examples that don't really apply to a life like mine, and I don't really know if I can adapt them until later when things are different for me circumstantially. And then there are a few what I would like to call gentle disagreements that I have. There's another chapter of this book that advocates for 9 universal pieces in your wardrobe, in one's wardrobe, in any woman's wardrobe. The 9 universal pieces. Working with simple classic pieces creates a blank canvas for your genius. And the concept is great, right? Find the version of this piece that speaks to you, but I struggle with the idea that there are universal pieces. So the first one on this list even is one that I've never owned. Oh, sorry, it's not the first one. So the first one is a white t-shirt. So there are a couple of pieces on this list that I've never owned and don't intend to own. For example, a trench coat. I understand how this is a very classic, versatile, popular piece, but I don't like the vibes of a trench coat. I don't like how I look in one in my mind's eye. I actually don't know that I've ever tried one as an adult, and I have no desire to own a trench coat. I don't think it's a bad piece to have. It's, you know, in my mind, it's just risky to claim that anything is a truly universal piece. And I just don't know if that's me having a problem with the wording of it, or just, you know, being otherwise a difficult person. Again, it could be a me problem. Many of these pieces are much more general, like a belt, trousers, a cozy sweater, white t-shirt, you know, no problems with that kind of thing. I mean, I suppose even a white t-shirt is not necessarily the first choice for many people if they don't like wearing white. But anyway, so I have a gentle disagreement with the trench coat. I have a gentle disagreement with the concept of having to wear jeans that are a little bit tight in order to have the best fit. This is one of those things where I fully believe that she's correct, that she's right, she knows what she's talking about. Jeans will probably always look better if they're slightly tight, but I want to be wrong. If that's right, I don't want to be right. I would rather be wrong and comfortable. But I also don't want to be told that I'm not going to be stylish, or have it implied that I'm going to be less stylish if I refuse to wear the correct fit of jeans. I'd rather be wrong and comfortable. And then the idea of getting clothes tailored. This is a great idea, and I fully support if one can do that, if one can support their local artisans, the tailors, the seamstresses, and all of that. However, I have never gotten anything tailored that I wear in everyday life. I've gotten formal dresses tailored, but for everyday pieces, I'm just not there yet. Part of it might just be my financial resources. Part of it might be that I'm not ready to commit to items with enough surety that I'm going to be keeping them forever to get things tailored for my specific body. I'm also still in a season where size fluctuations are happening, so again, perhaps that's a me problem, but I also don't know if I'll ever be in a season where I don't fluctuate in size, at least slightly, so I would have to approach that with caution. I see it as such common advice, but it's not advice that I've ever been able to take, which is why I bring it up. That's not to say I'll never get anything tailored. I'm not venturing to say that. But once again, I'm just on a different page in my life right now. The final point of gentle disagreement I have, she talks about if you work at home, getting fully dressed to work, and this includes wearing shoes. And you might have already noticed that in my outfit clips in my room, and even here when I have shoes on, I also have a little cardboard mat because I can't bear to have shoes on the carpet in the house. And that could just be the Asian culture coming out in me, you know, a me problem again. But I just can't get behind that. It gives me the ick, as they say. So I gently disagree with the idea of possibly getting street feces on my indoor floors and carpets. No matter how put together it might make me feel to do work at home. There is a lot of great advice in here. And it's very clear that she knows what she's talking about in her realm of style, in her realm of influence, I guess you could say, and with the clients that she works with. She has some very good advice on wish lists and deciding to bring in new pieces to your wardrobe. And it's not to say that I didn't get anything of value from reading the book, but I definitely didn't do a great job of evaluating whether this content was for me before I read it. And I guess for me, that's the take-home message of this experience. While the 3-word method itself may have some benefits for me, in my efforts to research a little bit deeper by reading this book, I didn't consider where the author was coming from and how well her knowledge and experience would actually apply to a life like mine, which is very, very different. And I guess this is one of the fundamental flaws of any kind of advice books or tips or content geared towards giving people advice in general, is it's never going to apply to everybody. And it's up to the consumer to do the research to know whether the advice will apply. So again, I'm really not trying to bash this book or the author, and I'm really trying to highlight the fact that it's a me problem. I did not do the work, the very surface level work, the thinking that would have possibly alerted me to the fact that this book is probably not written for me. If I'd really been thinking about it, reading a book from a stylist who works with clients in New York and LA is probably not going to be relatable, because I don't live in a big fashion conscious city. I don't have the resources to hire a real stylist for my wardrobe in my life. So the situations that she finds herself in most often are totally removed from my life experience. I mean, the clients that have the budget to pay for her services in New York or LA probably do have closets full of totem and the row and expensive designer pieces. And they might go to the kinds of events where style is even more important, more noticed, more of a status signal or symbol. And in those cases, it's really not up to me to have an opinion or judge, because that's not my world, that's not my realm. But anyway, I guess it's time to show you some outfits and possibly share what I would like my 3 words to be, and see if your opinions line up with my own assessment. And before I leave, I will say that this book is very aesthetically pleasing. It's beautiful to hold. It's got a really nice page quality, paper quality, typeset, cover quality. You know, the images inside are nice and aspirational looking, stylish. So while I'm probably not going to keep this book, if I'm totally honest with you, I do admire and appreciate it for what it is. And now I know it's just not totally for me. All right, I will say bye for now as we cut to the outfits, and I will see you in the next one.